Salutations and welcome back to Let's Play Tales of Phantasia. This is Edgar. In the previous installment we were thrown into the dungeon after saving the Prince of Alvanista, and now, courtesy of the Royal Aid Room, we are out of the dank little cell and standing before the King and the Queen. Oh, and the Prince's name is Charles. Of course it fucking is, why the hell wouldn't it be? At any rate, the party will take the time to explain why they decided to sneak into the castle. The king will recognize Chaos's control of the prince as a means of getting Alvanista involved in the war. There are two large nations in this world, Alvanista being one, and Midgard being the other, and Midgard is currently at war against Chaos and his armies. The king thinks it would be a smarter option to keep Alvanista out of the war completely. We are going to visit the continent that houses Midgard in this installment, and if you so desire it, you can visit Midgard this early in the game. If you have plenty of gold, you can head all the way to Midgard and buy a rather powerful weapon for Kles, but it's not really necessary, and Midgard is very out of the way, so I'd suggest you not bother. You're about to receive a new weapon anyway. The Royal Aid Room will provide us with 3 items at this point. Clarf will receive 2 items, a new book called the Opuscule, which is not as good as the book he already has equipped, as well as the Garnet Ring, which will be used to contract with a spirit. As for Kles will receive the Spear of Legend, Gungnir, wielded by Odin himself during Ragnarok. The spear has apparently lost much of its power, but it's still a step up from the halberd, that's for sure. As well as these items, Clarf will request permission for the party to enter the Moria Gallery. The king grants this simple request, and once you visit the Adventurers Guild and collect your pass, you will no longer be kicked out immediately by the guard. We could go and collect the pass right now, but there's no pressing need to do so. We still have 3 spirits to contract with before we should bother descending into the Moria Gallery. Those spirits being of earth, fire, and water, and by name they are Gnome, Ifrit, and Undine. You can contract with the spirits in any order you wish, but I would recommend you tackle Ifrit first, as the cave Ifrit is lurking and is full of enemies who are weak to your eye scimitar, not to mention Ifrit himself is weak to it. In addition to this, you will collect a new weapon from Ifrit's cave, and it is an axe with the air element. Before you can collect the spirits, you must come to this room in the castle to learn of their locations. Some of the NPCs in this room have the information, and as with Demitel's Island, you need to know where you're going, lest you be told to go and fuck yourself by the captains of the boats. In addition to information, there is an NPC here who has 2 spells for Archie if you can afford them. Get Thunderblade at any cost. It's an incredibly useful spell that hits the entire screen for heavy air element damage. It's a massive 12,000 gold, but it's worth every last one. Tractor Beam is only 4,000 gold, and is far less useful, but if you can afford it, then do so. It will make things much easier on you in Gnome's Cavern if you happen to get into trouble. Sadly, Tractor Beam cannot hit any enemy that floats, which is probably the reason it's only a third of the price of the godlike Thunderblade spell. My bad, wrong NPC. And now we have learned the locations of all 3 spirits. We can set out at this point. Do remember this room's location. You will have to come back here every so often to consult with the Royal Aide Rundlam, and Rundlam seems to have a fetish for pacing around in that room. Before you leave the castle, there is a minigame you can play, and it's very easy to win because your opponent is really rather bad at it. It's worth your time to beat him, because you will receive a good accessory for Klus when you are the victor. The rules of the game are simple. There are a bunch of stones in the pot, and you take turns removing either 1, 2, or 3 stones. Whoever is forced to remove the last stone is the loser. You only need to win one time, and then he will give you the accessory and refuse to play you again. I should have lost at this point, but like I said, this man is incompetent. For winning, you will receive a mental ring. The mental ring is an accessory that will boost the attack power of whoever has it equipped by a little bit, and more importantly, it will cause that character to slowly regenerate TP during battle. I'd suggest throwing it on Klus immediately. We also collected a black onyx from the Jarmir boss fight. I'd throw that on Klus as well. The black onyx will boost the HP of whoever has it equipped by 30%, making it a perfect item for your tank. Now, the 3 spirits await us, and Ifrit is first on our agenda, so head east across the bridge and then south until you reach a dock. You can catch a boat from there to Freyland. Freyland is a desert area, so you're going to want to turn off Archer's fire spells, as they will do nothing but heal the enemies out there. There is another area to the southwest that we have not yet explored, but we will not need to go there until after we descend into the Moria Gallery, so you can ignore it for the moment. There is only a single ship to be found at this dock, and passage to Freyland is very cheap, at only 80 gold a head, 320 gold total for the party. It's very cheap because the trip from this dock to Freyland is the shortest boat ride in the entire game. Sail across that. Why, I could piss across it. Once you arrive in Freyland, you might be tempted to search the dock for items, but there's nothing here, so just head south off the screen to enter the world map. And welcome to a very accurate representation of Australia. If you run into an encounter with a basilisk, I would suggest you run. His power is beyond yours at this point in the game. There is a village here, head inside. If it's not readily apparent from the waving graphical effects and frontless sweating up a storm, it's very bloody hot here in Olive Village. Go ahead and talk to Rex if you want your suspicions confirmed. So then, Ifrit's cave is a stone's throw to the east, but there's shit we want to do here first. Collect your free 2,600 gold from the sack at the north end of town, and then head to the northeast end to find the weapon and armor store, where unbelievably, there is a fire going. And somehow, nobody in this building is working up a sweat. Fuck logic, this is Tales of Phantasia. From this merchant, I would suggest you pick up a stronger weapon for mint, as well as any bits of gear you can afford, but make sure you have another 7,000 gold or so to spare once you finish at this merchant. You will want to buy another 2 things from another store. No need to buy a blue ribbon, I just forgot to equip the one from Long Valley. And I will of course vendor all of my old crap off screen. After selling all of your old stuff, if you do not have at least 7,000 gold, I'd suggest you walk outside Olive Village and ice tornado the piss out of every enemy until you have the money. Again, if you encounter a basilisk, run the hell away or enjoy the game over screen. We are now going to make specific preparations for Ifrit's cave and Ifrit himself. Klus has Gungnir equipped, but we will be swapping it out for the ice scimitar since it destroys everything in that cave. As for your spellcasters, it's possible to have the girls negating 50% of all fire damage, and Clav, king of the bling bling, happens to have a ring that can completely absorb the fire element, so equip that shit this instant. If you have heavy stones, it might be worth your time to place them on your spellcasters, because one of the enemies in the cave has the tractor beam spell, but I personally will not bother. Head into the dime store and talk to Brett. Scroll all the way down, and you can see that Brett sells silver capes. Silver capes cost 3,300 gold and are only equipable on the female characters, so buy one for Mint and one for Archie. The silver capes will reduce all fire damage inflicted on them by 30%. If you have rune bottles, you can turn them into princess capes, which are the exact same thing, except they reduce the damage by 50% instead of 30%. And of course identify that ice scimitar if you haven't bothered to do so. If you run out of rune bottles, you're going to have to go all the way back to Albanista for extras. So, Clis now has a water elemental weapon. Mint and Archie reduce fire damage by 50%, and Claf absorbs all fire damage. Are you understanding yet why I suggested you tackle Ifrit first? If you make the necessary preparations, he's the easiest of the three to collect. This is my personal preference, but I find that Ifrit, Undine, Gnome, is the best order to go about it. Head to the southern end of Olive Village to collect a free mixed gummy. You can fill your food sack from the waterfront store if you feel like it, but it's not necessary. And you know what? It's too busy in here for my liking, so fuck that for a joke. Lastly, let's sleep at the Motel 6 to heal up before we head east and into Ifrit's cave. This place had better have heaters and electric blankets and shit. At any rate, after what has to be the absolute most uncomfortable night of sleep ever courtesy of the searing heat, we are ready to head into Ifrit's cave. Head out of Olive Village. Ifrit's cave is very easy to locate. There is a huge mountain east of Olive Village, and the cave is on the same side of the mountain as the village. If you want to visit Midgard, head around the mountain and continue north. It's at the top end of the continent, well past where the sand ends and the grass begins. I will not bother. Into Ifrit's cave we go, everybody. Very creative name. Did it take the entire development team to come up with that one? So then, inside the Molten Cavern, there are two enemies you can encounter. Ogres are the big lumbering melee enemies, and they are dangerous in their own right, as while they only have melee attacks, their attacks are capable of paralyzing your party members, forcing you to use a remedy bottle to cure the condition, otherwise they will simply stand there helplessly during battle. As for the Aces, you can already see why they're annoying as fuck. They have that nasty tractor beam spell, which only Archie is immune to, unless you equip your grounded characters with heavy stones. They can also fling fireballs around, but we are well and truly prepared for that shit. Aces also happen to be immune to the air element, so Claf's sylphs will not work on them at all. That's okay though, Clis's sword makes short work of the tractor beaming bricks. Grab a spy lens from this chest and then head south, and follow the staircase downwards. The Molten Cavern is shaped kind of like a capital Q, and you will need to head down this direction first, but you will end up looping back around as you progress. The reason you need to come this way first is for an accessory that will see rather heavy use throughout the remainder of the game. Go ahead and grab a talisman and a resist ring from the two chests down here. Free gold really. Next, follow the tunnel around to the left. You'll reach a door that cannot be opened from this side, and a single solitary treasure chest. The treasure chest contains the previously mentioned accessory, and it's another ring, but it's not the kind of ring that Claf is interested in. The sorcerer's ring needs to be equipped in any character's accessory slot, and once equipped, you are able to fire sparks while out of combat. This is needed in order to hit certain switches, light fires, and other such trickery. Sadly, it provides you with no stats, so it's more of an encumbrance than anything. We're going to require it to make progress in the Molten Cavern, so let's head into the menu to equip it. Okay, Claf has a spare accessory slot, so let's just stick it on him. Even though it's a ring, it's not Claf specific like the contract rings. You can equip it on whoever you want. Once you have the sorcerer's ring, head back to the entrance of the Molten Cavern. It's nice how hard this sword smacks the enemies in here. Enjoy it while it lasts. You won't have much use for it after this. Head to the left, ignoring the door to the north. Don't worry about the lava, you cannot walk onto it. What the hell, Clav? Stop breaking the damn game. Fancy little bug there. Anyway, once you reach the left wall, you will find another door, and you can see a switch next to it. This switch needs to be shot with the sorcerer's ring, and doing so will grant you access into the next area. There are 3 chests you can find in here, and they contain a savory, a battle rune accessory which boosts attack power by 10%, and a question mark weapon. The question mark weapon will transform into a thunderclap axe, an air elemental weapon with a whole lot of slice, which will be much more useful against the enemies in Undine's Cavern, as well as against the gnome spirit himself than Gungnir's damage will prove to be. Anyway, continue down the stairs. Only a short room here, just head on through it. The next room has another item you're going to need to progress, and if you forget to grab it and leave the room, you'll have to take the long way around, as the door will lock behind you. You'll know it's the correct room by the small set of stairs at the north end. Okay, so this is Paralyze. Mint will get a spell that can cure it later in the game, but for now, we must use a remedy bottle, otherwise Clav will simply stand there like a statue in every battle to come. The game will signify that you have a party member afflicted by paralyze outside of battle by a little pair of lightning bolts over your head. Let's use a remedy bottle on Clav to shake that shit off. Much better. Now, there are 3 chests in this room. You can collect a mixed gummy and 1000 gold from the 2 red chests, and the blue chest contains an item called the magma key. The magma key will open the door leading to Ifrit's chamber, and unlike the sorcerer's ring, you will not have to equip the damn thing in order for it to perform its job. Now that we have the magma key, the battle with Ifrit draws near, but don't worry, if you have equipped yourself with the Isimeter, the fire absorbing, and the 2 princess capes, he's very easy to beat in a fight. You might recognize this room. This is where we picked up the sorcerer's ring, so we have effectively performed the loop around the Molten Cavern. Now that we have the magma key, we want to head back to the entrance and take that door we skipped earlier. By the way, did anyone else see Clav go fucking flying? 1.21 gigawatts and shit. You can see the door from here. It's not locked, so head on through. There is a save point here, use it if you feel the need, but it's utterly pointless. You can save on the world map and the exit is not 10 meters from here. Once you reach the save point, head to the left to find a treasure chest with a charm bottle. There is another switch on the wall, fire at it with your sorcerer's ring to open the door just above the save point. Head on through it. There will be a locked door in front of you as you enter. Using the magma key on it will open it, granting you access into Ifrit's chamber. Ifrit is hanging out on the other side of this lava, and to reach him you will have to perform a little vandalism. Shoot at the pillars with your sorcerer's ring to make them collapse, creating a makeshift bridge you can cross to reach the spirit. One of the pillars is unnecessary to collapse, but you can do it anyway if you're feeling somewhat destructive. Now then, a quick heads up, Ifrit floats, so the Graven Tractor Beam spells will fail to hit him. Turn them off if you can be bothered to do so. I won't even bother. I have the equipment needed to essentially face roll my way to victory against the poor spirit. There are 2 ways to gain a contract with a spirit. One is by helping them in a crisis, and the other is by besting them in battle. In the case of Ifrit, it's time to battle. Poor Ifrit, you are such a pushover when somebody comes in with the appropriate gear. Anyway, now that we have bested Ifrit in combat, he will offer his services to Clarf, and Clarf will take the opportunity to put some more boom boom in his bling bling. Clarf's DPS has just been increased by a massive amount. In addition to gaining Ifrit as a summon for Clarf, there is a treasure chest here that contains a new spell for Archie, the Firewall spell. Firewall is single target, but it causes a burn effect, causing extra damage over time to whatever it hit, and it will be of great help in the fight against Gnome. Undine as well, but I won't use it there because it's plain overkill. However, as soon as you get Ifrit and Firewall, you need to disable them until you leave this cave and Freyland, or you'll just end up healing the ever-living crap out of all the enemies. Lastly, Ifrit dropped an item called the Flame Mantle. The Flame Mantle is an accessory, and whoever has it equipped is immune to earth and fire damage. Oh god damn it, Mint, you couldn't have learned that 2 minutes ago. Acid Rain cuts the defense of every enemy on the screen, and has a very high success rate. It would have made Ifrit even more of a snap than he already was. Anyway, back to the Flame Mantle. The Flame Mantle is an accessory, and whoever has it equipped is immune to earth and fire damage, and will in fact be healed for 30% of the total damage it would otherwise have inflicted. You can use a rune bottle on it to turn it into an Aqua Mantle, which has the same absorption property, but for air and water instead of earth and fire. You're going to have this thing with you for the entire game. It never stops being useful. In fact, these firebugs have Fireball. Look at how much healing Clarf gets from Absorb. Look at all those bloody nines. As for the firebugs themselves, they can be a bit of a pain in the bum because they hover all the way at the top of the screen. Ice Tornado is very effective at taking them out. Otherwise just make use of Lightning Bolt and Clissa's standard plunging attacks. The Flare Bottle we just got is an in-battle item that will boost Clissa's attack power, but he will get a skill that does the same damn thing. Still, more attack power is never a bad thing. At any rate, we are finished in Freyland for the time being, so now we must return to our Venista. From Alvanista, we will head to Venetia, and from there, we will hire a boat to take us to Undine's Cavern. I'll cut out most of the travel time. So, this small island turns out to be the home of the water spirit Undine. As always, you can sleep in the ship if you need the healing, and you can purchase any items you need from the merchant below deck. There's nothing on the docks, so just head north to reach the cavern entrance. Do you remember that question mark weapon we collected inside the Molten Cavern? Well, as I said earlier, it transforms into a Thunderclap Axe, and the Thunderclap Axe will serve you well in Undine's Cavern, being super effective against most of the enemies, so go ahead and identify it and throw that shit on. Just remember that as an axe it has bugger all in the way of stab. The little path leading left will take you to the world map, so ignore it and head straight into the cave. Glaciated Cavern makes no sense, there is no ice anywhere to speak of in this area. Head to the right side to start out with. Let's meet the enemies.
Release the Kraken!
Okay, these are calamari. Calamari are smug-ass looking giant squids that serve the same function as the ogres from the Molten Cavern, but they lack the ability to paralyze your party members. They trade the drop for about twice the hit points, but never fear, Clarf's newly acquired Ifrit summon will make short work of them. Ifrit does about 12.5 hits for his attack animation, for those of you who are wondering. It makes killing these squids much less of a hassle, especially since they have a long-range attack and are pretty good at keeping close at bay. And of course when you kill them they drop seafood. It's incredible, we've found a monster that drops a food item that makes logical sense. Anyway, take this staircase to the next room. The door will lock behind you, but do not panic. Now we meet red slugs. Red slugs take extra damage from the air element, so Clissa's thunderclap will rip them to pieces very quickly. Ifrit is pretty good for the job as well, despite not receiving a damage bonus. You can select Archie and turn on Thunderblade to one-shot a lot of them. So then, this cavern. If you have ever played Ocarina of Time and have been to the water temple, you have a similar deal here, but on a far less complicated scale. You will need to use a series of levers to adjust the water levels in the rooms, allowing you access further into the cavern. It's really not very complicated. To start with, use that first lever a single time. It will move water from one room to another. Specifically it moves it to this room, which is now flooded. We will head in this direction later. For the start, head south. You can also encounter nymphs in the cavern, and they're the same as the sylphs from Long Valley, but they're immune to water instead of air. Honestly, this cavern is the polar opposite of the Molten Cavern. The enemies do bugger all damage, but the boss is more dangerous. So, do you recognize this room, boys and girls? You should, because this is the entrance of the cavern. All we have done is remove the water from the equation. Since the water is gone, we can collect the chests and head down the staircase. The staircase will lead you to a chest and a lever. It's rather a good thing that these are nymphs and not sylphs, otherwise Clissa's attacks would be healing instead of damaging. A few levels for our spell slingers, how handy. So now let's head over to the chest. The chest contains a rune bottle, and that's convenient because we are going to need it a little later. The lever will unlock the door in that room I flooded with water, so give it a pull. We will need to head back, change the water level again, and progress north into the deeper section of the cavern. You're gonna have to be quicker than that, Claff. So then, up the stairs to the previous room we go. You have two options for returning to the first lever we found, but I'd suggest you just head through the exit at the top and save yourself a bit of time. After all, it brings you out in the room with the lever we need, and it saves you having to make the trip around the long way. Naturally, using lightning bolt on the red slugs pretty much instantly seals your victory. Another level for mint, good stuff. Okay, pull that lever once again. The north room is no longer flooded, so that's where we are heading next. Well, if these giant squids want to continue offering themselves as a seafood bonanza, I'll be a gentleman and oblige them. Besides, we have now mastered Tiger Teeth, and have gained the ability to use Mecha Blade, a double art we collected shortly after arriving in this time period. Mecha Blade is extremely potent, you should use it as soon as you are able. It's like Tiger Teeth, except it does 4 slices instead of just 2, so it can really lay on the pain. Replace Scion Kick with Mecha Blade, it's a far more powerful ability. So let's make our way through this now drained room, grabbing an aqua mantle from the chest as we proceed. Not the best target for Mecha Blade, but I cannot resist. Yes, you still get your fancy little blue silhouette thing. Every double art gets that cool looking effect. Think Blade Storm with Mecha Blade. If you can manage to pin the enemy in the corner, you'll have a very easy time. And now we race Archie's fireball to kill the nymph. Technically I cheated. Mecha Blade managed to knock the poor little nymph out of the way of Archie's incoming fireballs. Alright, let's head north through the door into the new area. This area has a north exit, and 2 areas in the middle where you can swap the water level. You will need to go down both of them, but for now, let's head down the one on the left. Feel free to grab the chest for some seafood, and then head down the stairs to a lower level. Not quick enough, Archie. You cannot match Glacia's speed. Down the stairs we go. Descending these stairs will bring you out into a very small room with nothing but a lever. That lever is one of two that you are required to flip in order to alter the room to the north, so give it a pull, and then return up the stairs. We are going to head into that northern room right now. As you head up this room, you'll notice the save point. This is in fact the room where Undine lurks, but we have no possible way to find her at this moment. That's fine though, we came in here for a slightly different reason. At the very top of the room are two levers. The one closest to the stairs will flood this room, but doing that right now is pointless. The lever at the very top is the one we are interested in. Flipping it will change the water levels of the two pools in the previous room, so give it a pull and then head south. And of course get more seafood from the smug-ass-looking squids as you proceed. Save your game if you want, we are nearing the boss encounter. Head south. As you can see, the pool on the right side is now empty, so head down and grab another chest full of seafood, and proceed down the steps to the lower level once again. A bit late on that one there, Archie. Oh right. You don't need to have the sorcerer's ring equipped in this cavern, but I couldn't be fucked removing it. Anyway, we have another lever in this lower level in an identical room, and flipping this second one will alter the boss's chamber ever so slightly. Give it a pull and head back north. There is now a large hole in this room. Undine is down there, and in order to get her to come up here and say hello, we are going to flood this room on the beach. And like Ifrit, Undine will battle you with a squid and a red slug at her side, but that's hardly a problem for us. An extra level for Mint. Neat. Now, the lever closest to the stairs will flood this room, and as soon as the room is flooded, Undine will quickly attack you, so make your preparations for the boss encounter before you flip this switch. First off, you should all remember that we collected an aqua mantle on our way through the Glaciated Cavern. It's good for this fight, and since we collected a rune bottle on our way through the cavern, we can use it on the flame mantle we got from Ifrit to make a second aqua mantle. Equip both of the girls with aqua mantles for the battle. Undine can drop large ice blocks on your party members, and you don't want your spellcasters being interrupted. As for Clark, he has the aquamarine ring which absorbs water in its entirety, so of course equip it on him. And finally, for Kless, fuck Kless, he can tough it out like always, that's his damn job after all. Undine has a rather nasty physical attack that will go all the way across the screen through your party, so having the absorption items on your spellcasters will keep them healthy enough to not get murdered by it. Of course, remember to recover your HP and TP before the fight. Let's flush the bitch out of the floor. Undine has a very simple modus operandi. Her modus operandi is to murder the shit out of everything, as you can see from her rather friendly greeting. After you best Undine in battle, she will agree to Claw's contract, giving him even more boom boom in his bling bling. Undine will hit everything on the screen at once for heavy water damage. And now we have Undine, who will murder the shit out of everything when Claw calls upon her. However, as with Ifrit, you'll need to disable her when you first contract with her, as she will heal the heck out of the enemies in the Glaciated Cavern. She's only 8 mana as opposed to Ifrit's 16, but that's because she hits everything on the screen a single time, unlike Ifrit, who does about 18 randomly placed little fireballs. At any rate, that's 3 spirits down and only 1 to go. Drain the water so you can return to the previous room and start making your way out of the cavern. I think I am going to burn a holy bottle here, just to make getting out of here a little easier on us. And by the way, for those of you wondering about the question mark book Undine dropped, it's a weapon we already have, so no pressing need to identify it in a hurry. Now that we've reduced the encounter rate, let's work our way back through the Glaciated Cavern. Just go directly south through this room. Once again, take the southern exit. In this room is where you might get tricked by the water level fuckery of this dungeon. If you try heading south, the room will be flooded, so you will need to flip the lever to get the water out of your way. It's the only way out, because the door on the right side of this area is only accessible from the other side. Once you flip the lever, the water will be gone, and you can head through the south exit, and then take the stairs up to the entrance of the dungeon. Despite the holy bottle wearing off, we made it out without any encounters at all after using it. Nice work, holy bottle. So, Noma waits our contract. We will begin the next episode by collecting him. For the moment, let's take a ship to Venetia. You can take one from Alvanista to the dock near Beladum, and I will start the next episode on that vessel. For now, this has been Edgar, and as always, thank you for your patronage.